What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for March 18th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. Before we get into Tuesday positivity and motivation, just want to apologize in advance. Not feeling the greatest today, so if the energy level is a little off, that is why. But it is Tuesday. Time for some motivation / positivity. And I love this quote. I saw this a couple weeks ago and have been really trying to kind of work it into my life. And as I've mentioned before, I follow the Arnold Schwarzenegger blog. I kind of joined his pump club, so some good workouts and things like that. But a couple weeks ago, the motivation, he does a weekly motivation type blog post, I guess you could call it. And basically said you can't give your energy to what really matters if you think everything matters. And I think that's a great quote because so often we're like, oh, this is so important, or oh, we need to do this, or oh, I got to take care of this. And we get caught up in everything. And like he said, if everything is important, nothing really matters if everything matters. So he talked about your brain being a battery, and when you get worked up and emotionally invested in some things, it drains your battery. Obviously, you need to recharge, whether that's through working out, sleep, whatever your thing is. But those little things suck your battery up. So it takes away from the things that really matter. So one of the things, the practices, and this is what I took away from it, was if you find yourself getting worked up about something, ask yourself, is this worth my battery? Does this matter? And if the answer is no, then tell yourself it doesn't effing matter, and you want your battery to be full for the things that do matter. And again, I've been trying to do this in my own life because it is very easy between working full time, trying to do everything I have going on with this podcast, and the different activities and things for the kids to kind of miss some of those little moments or not be there for the things that matter. So sometimes it's like, you know what, put it aside, go have a catch, go shoot some hoops or whatever it could be, go take advantage of something. And I really think it's worth, at the end of the day, does this matter? And if it doesn't, tell yourself this doesn't effing matter, and focus on the things that you want to spend your battery power on. So I really think that I've been trying to implement in. And so hopefully that is something you can take away. But you can't give your energy to what really matters if you think everything matters. And truthfully, not everything matters. So you need to decide what is important for yourself, what does matter, and then focus your energy and your battery level on that. Again, hopefully you can take this away. It's something over the past couple of weeks since I saw this, I've been trying to do in my life, and I thought it was good for us to share here on a Tuesday. But that is the Tuesday motivation / positivity. Hopefully you can take something away from that this week. Some quick housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. As a reminder, I sat down last weekend with Lenny Wagner, who is the author of Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Age of Sports, basically a biography on Walter French. Definitely go check out what you can about Walter French. Once I'm feeling a little bit better, I do need to, I'll get the interview, and I plan on sometime in April releasing the interview. But if you want to find more about Walter French, I'd put Lenny Wagner's website in my description. He's also going to be doing a book signing Wednesday and another one in April. All of the details are in there. But go support Lenny. Good dude. Did a lot of research for this book, and I'll get more into it when I release the stuff from the interview. But it's more than just a biography on Walter French. If you really are into that time frame, like the 20s, World War I to World War II era, there's a lot of historical stuff in there about sports as well as what was happening in the country. So it's really well done. So go check that out. Support Lenny. All right, Sixers. Kind of an entertaining game, I would think. 144, 137 in overtime, a high-scoring game. We may have found something with Quentin Grimes. He had a career-high 46. But on the positive side, they lost, which is good. So they're currently tied for the 5th draft spot with the Nets. They're only a half game up on the Raptors, but the Sixers do have the tiebreaker, I believe, over both of those teams. 15 games left, or 13 games left. It's going to be tight down the finish. We need to somehow get Quentin Grimes out of the lineup. But Paul George officially is done for the season. Not really. I thought it was his finger, but now he was apparently getting injections into his groin and his knee. Hopefully he's out for the rest of his career in Philadelphia. We'll see how that plays out. But good loss, I guess. It kind of keeps the NBA from when you're putting up 137 points and losing in overtime. I think it kind of keeps the NBA away with the whole tanking thing. So good loss for the Sixers yesterday. I do think, like I said, they may have found something with Quentin Grimes. Now it's just a matter of figuring out what to do with the big guy and getting everybody healthy. Flyers lost 2-0. I think we can officially stick a fork in their wild card hopes. Just a flat game. Tampa Bay came back, got their revenge from the loss last week. 13 games left for the Flyers as well. They're currently in the 6th spot for the draft, which I think, again, as long as they can get a top 10 pick, they have a ton of picks that will allow Danny Briere to kind of do some wheeling and dealing. So we are tank watching for both the Sixers and the Flyers. Phillies announced that The Phillies announced that Zack Wheeler will start opening day. You certainly don't want Chris Wheeler on the mound. I don't think any surprise there. Zack Wheeler will get the start March 27th against the Nationals. We do have a couple Eagles news and notes here. Lane was extended for another year. I don't think that was a surprise. Likely, I didn't see the details of the contract. Likely gives them some cap room and flexibility. I feel like they do this every year. Lane was supposed to retire 4 years ago, and they just keep extending him, reworking his contract. And, I mean, he's still playing at a high level, so why not? But the other big news was they signed Azeez Ojulari from the Giants. He's another former Georgia Bulldog. Has been inconsistent over the course of his career, but does have a ton of potential, especially playing on a team with a lot of his former teammates. Another one of these bargain bin, low-risk, high-reward moves by Howie Roseman. So we'll see. He seems to hit on more of these than he doesn't. So hopefully Azeez Ojulari, I should say, can find a little bit of a resurgence playing with his teammates. Again, he has a ton of potential. He's just very inconsistent and has been injured. So hopefully a change of scenery, the familiarity with his teammates will help him there. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things going on with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com for details to see how you can get involved in their sports fan network. The podcasts they do are all available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And then go to Philly Goat. It's springtime. They have a ton of spring gear for you, your family, your kids. It's that time where Easter's coming up. A lot of people buy some spring wardrobes for Easter. Philly Goat's got you covered for Easter, Passover, whatever you celebrate. You don't celebrate any of them, just go buy something. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today is a little bit of a Wilt Chamberlain day, and I always say we could do this day in Wilt Chamberlain history on this podcast, but I don't want to bore everybody. However, this is a big day in the history of Wilt Chamberlain. First, in 1968, Wilt recorded an unofficial quintuple-double. 53 points, 32 rebounds, 14 assists, 24 steals, and 11 blocks. So just kind of think about that. Let that sink in. Truthfully, it's unofficial only because the NBA did not keep steals and blocks as an official stat until 1971. And it's a shame because Wilt's numbers and everything would have been so much better than what they were because of just his ability to block shots and everything like that. And I, excuse me, I had that reversed. He had 24 blocks, 11 steals. I apologize for that. But Harvey Pollack, legendary statistician for the Sixers and the Philadelphia Warriors, kept the blocks and steals in his official stat. So that's how there's even sort of a record that Wilt had the quintuple-double. And Harvey is one of the most respected guys in NBA history and at the NBA at the time. So I'll take his word for it. Sixers did beat the Lakers that day, 158-128. Hal Greer added 32 points, but it was Wilt Chamberlain with a quintuple-double, 53 points, 32 rebounds, 24 blocks, 14 assists, and 11 steals. That's just insane. The closest anybody's ever come was Akeem Olajuwon in 1987. In an overtime game, he had 38 points, 17 rebounds, 12 blocks, 7 steals, and 6 assists. Just kind of puts into perspective what kind of night Wilt had that day. And then fast forward to 1991, and on this day in 1991, the Sixers retired Wilt Chamberlain's number 13 into the rafters. At the time, it was the Spectrum, now the Wells Fargo Center. Only played for the Sixers from 64 to 68, helped lead them to the 1967 NBA championship. Only one of 3 in franchise history. He won 1 scoring title, 3 rebounding titles, and was a 3-time MVP while playing for the Sixers. One of the best to ever do it. And today, March 18th, is Wilt Chamberlain Day. On this day in 1968, had an unofficial quintuple-double, 53 points, 32 rebounds, 14 assists, 11 steals, and 24 blocks. Yes, you heard that right. 24 blocks, and then got his number retired when, the Sixers retired his number 13 in 1991. But that does lead to today's question of the day. And usually everybody talks about the GOAT, and it's Kobe, Michael, or LeBron. Nobody talks much about the big man. So today, who is the best big man in NBA history? You can go anywhere. You could do Wilt. You could do Shaq. You could do somebody like Hakeem Olajuwon, Bill Russell. So many to choose from. Who's the greatest big man in NBA history? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in to the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. And to recap yesterday's question of the day, we did an unofficial Phillies vibe check. Everybody's feeling either meh or good about the Phillies this year. Nobody is feeling bad yet. 57% said they feel good. Lots of the meh people saying, well, talk to me in August or talk to me in the World Series. I think a lot of folks are cautiously optimistic with this team. They want them to be good, but they don't want to get let down based on what this team has done. So thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. Today, who's the greatest big man in NBA history? And then finally today, our Women's Big Five Hall of Fame spotlight is Auretha Fleming from Penn. She was a solid player throughout her 4 years at Penn from 1980 to 1984. She was the co-captain and Founders Award winner in 1984. She was all Ivy and second team Big Five. She was runner-up for Freshman of the Year in the Ivy back in 1981. She set the Penn record for field goal percentage, steals, helped lead the Quakers to a 28-12 Ivy League record. When she graduated, she was number 1 in rebounds, number 2 in points. She was the Women's Sports Foundation All-Northeast Region player in her senior year. She was inducted into the Big Five Hall of Fame in 1991. She's in the Penn Athletics Hall of Fame, but one of the greatest to ever do it down at Penn is Auretha Fleming from Penn, who again is a solid player, all Ivy, all Big Five, one of the best to do it. So today we should salute you, Auretha Fleming from Penn. On this day in 1991, Sixers retired Wilt Chamberlain's number 13. In 1968, he had a quintuple-double, double digits in 5 major categories, 53 points, 32 rebounds, 14 assists, 11 steals, and 24 blocks. Although it's unofficial due to the fact that steals and blocks were not official stats until 1971, but I'm going to take Harvey Pollack's word for it that Wilt had the quintuple-double. We'll have more on any Eagles news as well as the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers as the news develops. Apologize for the vibe and the energy level today. Will be better tomorrow. But remember, you can't give your energy to what really matters if you think everything matters. You got to prioritize and focus on what's important and shut down the other stuff. Don't let the other things run your battery down and drain your energy. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 18th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.